Hello! I started off by cutting a piece of foam board that is 15 inches long and 4 inches wide. After removing the paper, I marked out a 1-inch grid by first scoring it with a knife and then widening the line with a pencil. Next I cut 20 pieces of 2x4 foam board and removed the covering paper. Some types of foam board are harder to remove the paper from, so if you're having trouble, you can just soak it in warm, soapy water and it'll make the paper easier to be removed. Next, I marked out the grid on 10 of the pieces and glued each of them on top of another 2x4 piece. These will make out the slope of the bridge. Now, to make the edges a bit cleaner, I cut some small bricks out of foam board and glued them to one of the long edges of each stair. After that, I glued the stairs together in sets of 5, leaving 1 inch of the grid showing through. Now, the main part of the bridge was a little wobbly, so I glued it to another piece of foam board without removing the paper to make it sturdier. Next I glued in the bricks on both edges, just like I did with the stairs. And when that was done, I could glue both the staircases and the center part together. I wanted the sides of the bridge to be thicker, so I used 10mm thick foam core, but you can easily use 2 pieces of 5mm glued together and not much will change. I measured how long my bridge is and how tall I want the sides to actually be, and cut 2 pieces of 28 inches long and 3 inches wide and removed the paper from both sides. First, I glued one side to the bridge using hot glue. Then, to make the inner tunnel, I took a piece of paper and folded it in half. I then cut it to about the size I want the tunnel to be. Using the paper template, I marked off the tunnel on the foam core and cut out the excess. Following the incline of the stairs, I cut off the rest of the foam core to the shape I want for the bridge. I then placed the bridge on the side piece that's left and used it as a template to show me where to cut, resulting in 2 identical sides. Next, using a pencil, I carved in the brickwork. I started off with rectangle bricks for the foundation and proceeded to cover everything else with a more cobblestone look. This is just my preference, as I rather not touch a ruler any more than I have to. To add more dimension, I used the scrap parts of 10mm foam core and cut them to 4 pieces that are 1x3 inches. I glued them to the bridge at the edges of the tunnel and carved in some bricks. Next, I cut out of 5mm foam core bricks that are 10mm wide and 20mm long and glued them on to cap the sides and give it a cleaner look. To differentiate the support pillars, I just glued on larger squares that overlap them a bit. Not that anyone will ever see this, but let's make the underside look a bit better. I cut out a piece of foam core and texture it with cobblestone pattern just like before. Now, to give it the curve of the tunnel, I rolled the foam core on the edge of the desk. This worked out rather nicely, just be a bit gentler than I was. I then glued it in place and shaved off any excess. Sadly, I didn't leave enough room in the middle, so the underside was protruding a bit. To fix this, I just used the tip of the hot glue gun and melted the foam to a nicer transition. Now, to give the foam a stone texture, I used a bowl of aluminum foil. I really recommend you do this before you assemble all the pieces. It was a bit challenging getting into all the nooks and crannies. To make the piece more durable and give it a uniform base coat, I mixed Mod Podge matte and black paint and covered the entire build. Now, for the painting, I went with a super simple color scheme, as I wanted to be able to use this in many different environments. I started off with a dark gray base coat and continued with a lighter and lighter dry brushing, going up to 10. I then used a black wash on the entire thing and did a final dry brushing to bring back some of the details. I showed a more interesting way to paint stone in my Wizard's Dice Tower build, so if you're interested, you can check that one out. Now, the toughest part, by far, of this entire build was resisting the urge to cover the entire thing with moss. But as I said, this wage can be used in different scenarios. I didn't expect to like this build as much as I do, but its simplicity and usability just makes me really happy for some reason. And there's the fact that it's big, like bigger than my upper body big. But hey, thanks for watching and till next time. Bye!